At 4:30 on the dark, stormy morning of April 12, 1861, Confederate cannons pierced the blackened sky with fire and lead. From the Confederate shores of Charleston Harbor, South Carolina, the soldiers of the new Confederate States of America rained a tempest of exploding shells, gunshot, and cannonballs upon Union troops holding the Federal Island fort called Sumter. The American Civil War had begun. All through that day and night, both Union and Confederate cannons roared. By dawn the next day, much of Sumter was ablaze. Smoke filled the air, and inside the lower levels of the fort, many men fought just to breathe. From atop Sumter's walls, the Union flag still waved, though its staff had been hit 9 times. Then suddenly the lookout cried, "The flag is down!" In an act of daring, Police Sergeant Hart climbed the walls of Sumter. With bursting shell and smoke everywhere, he grabbed a hatchet and nailed the battered flag into the wall. For a moment, Old Glory would wave proudly. But after 34 hours of bombardment, the Federal troops were finally forced to surrender the fort. Sumter now belonged to the Confederacy. By June 1861, the southern states of Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia had all joined with South Carolina, declaring their own new government. Now the Confederate States of America had the resources of a total of 11 states. During the Civil War, these states were often referred to as the Confederacy, or the South. Maryland, Kentucky, Delaware, and Missouri, also referred to as border states, continued to use slave labor, yet remained loyal to the United States of America. Their resources, joined with the other states, brought the total of states loyal to the United States to 23. These states were often referred to as the Union, or the North. The following is a comparison of the Confederate and Union resources and positions. Jefferson Davis was chosen as the first and only president of the Confederate States of America. Newly elected President Abraham Lincoln, considered one of the most skilled political leaders in American history, led the Union. The Southerners fought to establish a separate country. They felt the federal government did not recognize their states' rights. Therefore, these states seceded or withdrew themselves formally from the United States. To them, this was a war of independence. The Confederacy had 9.5 million people total. 5.5 million were white, and 4 million were African slaves. The Union had a total population of 22 million. Northerners were willing to fight to keep all states together and to defend the Constitution. The Union did not recognize the Confederate States of America as a separate government, and regarded the South as a loose alliance of rebellious states within the United States. 2,100,000 Northern men joined the military during the course of the war. There was a 3-to-1 advantage in numbers for the Union over the South. Southern manpower totaled around 800,000. They had no pre-war army. The South built its fighting forces around the already existing state militias. The Confederacy had a total of 18,000 manufacturing companies and only one foundry capable of manufacturing a railroad locomotive. The Union had a total of 110,000 manufacturing companies. They could easily produce railroad engines, cannons, rifles, and ironclad ships. The Confederacy had around 9,000 miles of track. Most of the railroads were situated in the states of Virginia and Tennessee. The Union had a total of 23,000 miles of track. This was a key factor in the Union's ability to successfully transport supplies to its armies. Most of the wealth of the Confederacy was in the land and slaves. Money was in short supply, and there were few banks. 81% of the United States banks were in the North, establishing the wealth necessary for financing a war. In the Confederacy, the institution of slavery was legal and protected, though some did not accept it. In the Union, slavery was legal, but not unanimously acceptable.